Good evening. Tonight, I want to welcome you to the studios of Platform Media International with solemn resignation, because I have lost a friend and Nigeria have lost a hero. I'm talking about Stephen Okechukwu Chinedu Keshi, one of the longest serving captains of Nigerian Super Eagles. According to Immanuel Kant, the great philosopher, once a man is born, is old enough to die. But as humans, we are never, ever ready to accept the certainty of death. Even at 54, we still have to question why Keshi? Keshi, with no sign at all, passed away last Wednesday at the age of 54 without saying goodbye to the many millions, many thousands of soccer followers who has chosen him to be an icon, who has been following him around the globe where he plied his trade. Tonight, on behalf of Platform Media International, we say good night, Big Boss Keshi. I remember the story of this great guy started from St. Finbarr College in Akoka, Lagos. After that, he joined the famous Flying Eagles, captained by Silvanus Okpala in 1978. And thereafter, Keshi graduated to the Super Eagles. I remember as a young kid growing up in Lagos, the World Cup qualifying series in 1981 for the Aspana 82 World Cup. Keshi was on reserve. Keshi was supposed to be one of the players in that match. And because of fear of the unknown, Christian Chukwu was recalled from retirement, and Keshi decided to give his role as the center half for Nigeria to Christian Chukwu. Behold, after first half, Nigeria was 2 goals down to Algeria. That was when Keshi was brought in the second half. Unfortunately, Nigeria could not salvage that match. We lost by 2 goals to nothing in Lagos, but 1-1 in Algiers. And Algeria represented Africa in the Aspana 82 World Cup. And ever since, the doors of the Super Eagles became open to Keshi. He became an icon. But this is a man that has withered, has survived all adversity. In 1984, Keshi was recalled, was invited to Super Eagles, but because they have a waffle date when he was playing for New Nigerian Bank of Benin, they didn't appear to a national invitation to the Super Eagles. But as it is with the military government in Nigeria then, the Minister of Sports, Tony Kazubo, did not take kindly to that. So Keshi, alongside with 5 other of his colleagues in New Nigeria Bank of Benin, were suspended from the national team, and therefore his football playing was put on hold. As a man who is used to fighting adversity, when all others stayed back in Nigeria waiting for the expiration of that suspension, Keshi slipped out to Côte d'Ivoire and joined Stella Football Club of Ivory Coast. That opened up an era of Nigerians going abroad to play professional soccer. From Stella Football Club of Ivory Coast, Keshi, being a man who also wants more for himself, decided to go to Belgium and joined Anderlecht. There he discovered how to lead, and thereafter Keshi resumed with the national team of the Super Eagles and still became captain. Viewers, I remembered in 1988 at the African Cup of Nations in Morocco, Keshi was flying back and forth from Belgium to Morocco. Unfortunately, Nigeria lost in the finals to the indomitable Lions of Cameroon. Keshi captained the Super Eagles. And after that, it was the turn of August 90. Westerhoff was now in charge of the Super Eagles. Keshi is still the captain. But at that year, Westerhoff decided to go with mostly local players to the August 90. At the beginning of that match, Nigeria was thrashed 5-1 by the Desert Warriors of Algeria. Keshi was not in that team. And people hollered, people queried the decision of Westerhoff not to bring Keshi and his colleague from Europe. But in 1992, Keshi, again, the man who survives all war, was brought back to the national team, and he led the Super Eagles to the semi-finals, where they lost to the Abedi Pele-led Black Stars of Ghana by 2-1. Keshi wasn't finished with the national team. But however, in 1994, the national team has blossomed. Keshi was now a general to other 10 players. They went to Tunisia in 1994, and there and then, Keshi announced to the world that he's not only a leader, but the big boss of the Super Eagles. That's when they won the gold medal, or the cup as it is called, the African Nations Cup in 1994 in faraway Tunis in Tunisia. And for the first time ever, Keshi led his team to qualify Nigeria for the World Cup in USA 1994. But I must report that as a young reporter in one of the newspapers in Lagos then, after qualifier, because of Keshi leadership, protecting his players as the captain, but the powers that be in Nigerian football then did not like him, and they worked against him. I remember the Minister of Sports, Chief Alex Akinyele, swore that Keshi was not going to the World Cup with the team because Keshi wanted the good things for his players. All the match entitlements must be paid before they laced the boat for the Super Eagles. But as God will have it, the Vice President of Nigeria then, Admiral Augustus Ihomo, prevailed on Westerhoff, and Keshi was included in the national team to the USA. All of you can remember that was one of the golden era of Nigerian football. One thing I want to say, that Keshi being called the big boss is not a name that was just given like that. But the reason behind that is called the big boss because when there's a national assignment, Keshi calls all Nigerian players that were invited for the national team, and even have to pay some of them their way to Lagos to honor the national invitation. And that's why he is called the big boss. Some players outside Nigeria can also testify to the good heart of this player, Keshi. Odati Lamte of Ghana is one example, because Keshi gave him the leeway in Belgium when he joined Anderlecht. Till today, I spoke to Odati Lamte in 1998, and he has every good thing to say about Stephen Okechukwu Keshi. Fighting adversity. He also, after the World Cup, he retired and he was given the Flying Eagles. But fortunately, his era in the Flying Eagles did not last too long. But thereafter, he slipped away to Togo. He became the national team of Togo and qualified Togo, the tiny West African country, qualified Togo for the 2006 World Cup in Germany. But adversity that has strayed Keshi followed him. Unfortunately, after qualifying Togo, he was fired as a coach and never followed them to the World Cup Mundial in Germany. Be that as it may, I will also recall that in 2002, before taking Togo to the World Cup, Keshi, as an assistant to coach Amadou Shuaib, who also passed away some few days ago, qualified Nigeria for the World Cup in Korea and Japan in 2002. But the powers that be did not allow Keshi and Shoaibu to see that team through to the Korea-Japan World Cup, and they were fired. And thereafter, Coach Oningbede was given the assignment to take Nigeria Super Eagles to the World Cup. All of you are aware that Nigeria was eliminated in the first round. But because of his good qualities, the big boss again resurrected with the national team of Mali. He was there for 2 years, took them to the Nations Cup, to the second round, but that did not bear good fruits, and he was let go. But one thing I want to also remember is that Keshi going or dying at the age of 54 has also died with a lot of information. I have never seen any of his stories or the inside story of what happened in Togo. He has never told anybody of his inside story of what happened in Mali. And I've made effort to reach out to some of my colleagues on ways on how Keshi can speak to us, on to give us the inside stories, why he will qualify 2 countries already for the World Cup and was never allowed to go to the World Cup. And that's the story that will not be ever be told. Keshi went away with those stories. But as God will have it, Keshi was now recalled to the national team of the Super of Nigeria. And he was hired and was given a mandate to go to the Nations Cup and also to qualify Nigeria for the World Cup. Those 2 mandates Keshi fulfilled. He went to South Africa in 2013 despite the acrimony, despite the divisions, despite the pettiness and jealousy in the Nigerian Football Federation house. This man led a bunch of home-based players to the African Championship final and defeated Burkina Faso by 2-1, and Nigeria won the cup after 19 years. It is on record that Keshi is the only African that has won the African Cup of Nations as a coach and as a player. Keshi also qualified Nigeria for the World Cup in South Africa in 2014 and led Nigeria to the second round, which the foreign coach Westhoff took Nigeria to the second round in 1994 in the USA. But unfortunately, the powers that be did not get given the necessary cooperation. The jealousy, the avarice, and pettiness had sway. Nigeria was eliminated by France, and Keshi came home. And it was through the grace of God and President Goodluck Jonathan that he held on to that job after the World Cup. He was fired. As a matter of fact, he was fired and rehired. But as the case may be, as soon as Jonathan lost the election, Keshi was fired. And he slipped away, no complaints, no stories, and he died with the news behind the news. And that is our pain in platform media, because this coach of all coaches, player of all players, have died with the stories behind the news. Keshi, Okechukwu, Chinedu, Stephen was 54, and his wife passed away. They say adversity comes in chains. The wife passed away in December, and Keshi left his children 6 months later to join his pretty and wonderful wife of about 33 years. And that's how it is. Nigeria would not have, it would be difficult a player to fill, or a coach, that would be a difficult position to fill. It is a big show, and it's a big shock to the media people, to the administrators, and to the players that he has seen their career over years. An inspiration to everybody, both the players that he opened the floodgate to in Europe, both and some journalists that he is also news to them. When Keshi leaves Super Eagles, there's always news, and I guess that has dried up. Keshi has survived great adversity. But the last one, he didn't. But again, you can't say he didn't survive it or he didn't win. But this time around, he chose to meet the great creator. And as the light dims, the great number 4 of Nigeria, the great coach of Nigeria, is walking alone tonight to join his creator. That's the way it is. On behalf of Platform Media International, we say good night, Skipo. Good night, the boss. Good night, the great number 4 of Nigeria. I'm yours sincerely, Joe Ehizode of Platform Media International. Good night.